That is incredibly important, not only because we need to have a stable government, but I believe it ties into the first point, which is if you're going to encourage and attract businesses to Wisconsin, if you're going to encourage existing businesses to go out on a limb and put more people to work here, you've got to have a partner that's stable. You can't have a growing, investing environment if you don't have a stable government. Our government, unlike governments all across the country, not the least of which, again, is Illinois, but we're stable. We're making a commitment to the future so that our children and grandchildren don't face more dire consequences than what we face today. I like to say we're thinking more about the next generation than we are about the next election. And when we do, it'll not only be good for our children, it'll be good for investments in the state of Wisconsin. I remember at the height of all this, of all the attention and focus around the Capitol, there was a day when there were probably 50 or 60,000 people back in March that were out banging drums and making noise around the Capitol. I was talking, most days I talk to local reporters, but this particular day, one of my interviews was with Reuters. And the guy from Reuters said, well, you know, Governor, investors don't like instability. And I hear all this noise and I see all this going around the Capitol. He said, what can you tell investors that would make them want to invest in the state of Wisconsin? And this guy was actually a pretty decent reporter, so I didn't get too aggressive, but I kind of leaned into him a little bit and I said, you know what? You're looking at this exactly wrong. You're looking at the momentary chaos that's happening around the Capitol. The reality is what we're doing, what we had the courage to do and continue to do here in the state of Wisconsin, ensures for investors and everyone else to look at the state that long-term will be one of the most stable places to do investments in anywhere in the world, because we give not only our state government but our local governments the tools to be stable and have a stabilized budget for generations to come. That is truly, truly important for the future economic growth here in the state of Wisconsin. And then finally, in addition to creating a better business environment, in addition to providing long-term budgetary relief that's honest and is about moving the state forward, the last thing that we've done in the last 5 months or so is seek to reform government as well. It's a great example of this is last year, about this time, there was a teacher just up the way here, not too far away from where we stand today, who had just received an award for being the outstanding new teacher of the year by the English Council of Teachers throughout the state of Wisconsin. Just a top-notch teacher. A week later, she got a layoff notice. Why? Well, because under her contract, if you're the last one in, you're the first one out. Seniority, tenure, trump under those circumstances. Well, what we passed early this year ultimately says, you know, seniority and tenure are no longer the standard. Instead, in the state of Wisconsin, whether you're a school district or a town or a village or a county or a city, any level of government can now make hiring and firing decisions based on merit and ultimately reward their employees based on performance, just like nearly everybody else does in society. We've been doing that for years. It's been successful in the free market. It's about time we do it in government as well. And I believe that that will work, not just based on theory. I look at my friend Mitch Daniels, the governor of Indiana 6 years ago. He essentially did for state employees what we're doing at the state and local level here in Wisconsin. And you know what? In that time since then, the government's got better. It's got more efficient. It's got more effective. It's got more accountable to the taxpayers. And in the end, in addition to being accountable to the taxpayers, it's actually gotten to a position where ultimately great employees are rewarded in that state. He can single them out. He can say these are excelling employees and not only reward them in terms of recognition, but actually provide financial incentives that build into paying for performance. Those are the things we do in the private sector. Those are the things we can now do, the reforms that will allow us to do those things in the public sector as well. That's why I'm excited about the future of the state. Now, we've got a long ways to go. I just came from a small business roundtable with the lieutenant governor up in Oshkosh, and believe me, we've got plenty more to do. We've been listening to what you're telling us in the private sector, but we're excited about the future. When I think about our opportunities, you know, in Wisconsin, at the end of this month, we're going to celebrate our 163rd anniversary of the start of this great state. And over that time, three main industries, manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism, have built the state's economy. Now, along the way, we're picking up many other emerging industries as well, but I still believe those three core industries are going to take us out of this recession. You see the numbers in the field of manufacturing, 11,500 of the 25,000 new jobs. We're headed in the right direction. and we're going to help not just the big companies, but the small and mid-sized employers in particular. That's where our growth potential is. That's where expansion's coming from. That's where we're excited about what's going to happen in the future. When I look at agriculture and I realize in the last year, we've seen imports go up in this state by 18%. And leading the, exports, not imports, exports go up by 18%. And leading that charge has been a 36% increase in our ability to do exports around the globe when it comes to agriculture. We're leading the way there as well. Just was talking the other day with officials from the province of Heilongjiang in China, in the northeast corner, another area where we can take what we do well here and profit by helping provinces and countries like that. We've got plenty of potential to grow there. When you think about it, 96% of the world's population and 2/3 of our purchasing power live outside of the United States. We've got incredible potential to expand our economic sustainability and really prosperity here in the state of Wisconsin by further expanding our exports. And instead of exporting jobs, we can export what we do well and make a profit and help the people here in the state of Wisconsin. And finally, we do a tremendous job. In fact, the third main industry over our state's history has been tourism. In the last couple of years, it's been a little tough, but leading up to that, it's been about a $12 billion industry. Even in this tough budget, we add additional money to tourism over the next 2 years because we know, just like any of you in retail know, when times are tough, that's when you step it up and you advertise even more. Because you got to bring customers into your company and into your store. Well, that's what we're going to do in the state of Wisconsin. We know that we've got more fun than any place in the world right here in the state of Wisconsin. And some of the best world-class attractions, but with a small-town feel that makes it attractive for anyone to come up to. So whether it's out of the Chicago market or the Twin Cities or anywhere else around the world, we're going to fight for every bit of tourism dollars out there, and we're going to thrive even in these tough times. Because instead of going out to South Dakota or out to D.C. or anywhere else, people from Chicago and elsewhere can come right up the way to Wisconsin and see all that we have to explore without having to pay those high gas prices to get even further out of the Midwest. All those things are exciting things about the future. Now I know in a few minutes, and I could go on all night, I'm not, because you got awards that you want to hear from and you want to acknowledge people who have been a key part of that. But I want to tell you, and I want to affirm this, the last couple years, businesses in particular have been getting a lot of grief. And job creators here and across the country have been feeling a little bit put down. Well, I'm here today to tell you thank you. Because I know while we've been doing a lot to get government out of the way, to become an efficient and effective partner, we know that we can't see those sorts of numbers. We couldn't see 25,000 new jobs from January to April if it weren't for the great job creators here in Racine County and across the state of Wisconsin. So thank you. Thank you for what you've done already. Thank you for what you're doing right now. But most importantly, thank you for the commitment you're making to the future. When I think about the state, I get pumped up. I get excited. I think we were just talking about with some folks who are from outside of the United States talking about investments here in the state of Wisconsin. And one of the things they highlighted, it wasn't what I highlighted, what they highlighted was that Jim heard it talking about it as well, was the fact that we got a great workforce here. We've got people who embody the Midwestern work ethic. We've got workers, when I was up in Oshkosh talking to another company, they said they got business all across the United States and they continuously bring in workers from Wisconsin because they can't trust workers in other states to live up the quality that they expect out of their business and the work that they get from people here in the state of Wisconsin. We've got employers that many times are 2 or 3 or 4 generations deep of family-owned businesses. And for those that aren't, they treat their employees like family. And they're vested here and they've got roots here. You've got roots here and you want to grow here. But time and time again over the last few years, what I've heard from employers is people who say, you know what, all I'm asking is for the government to get out of the way so I can put more people to work in the state that I love. Well, let me tell you loud and clear, you've got a governor who understands that, who hears that, who's going to act on that, who's going to partner so you can add more jobs here in the state of Wisconsin. Now, finally, I've got one last request from you. In addition to enjoying yourself with the awards hereafter and throughout the rest of the evening, I've got one request. As I look around the room here, I see a lot of people smiling and nodding and agreeing with what we're saying here. And somebody might say, one of the reporters looking in might say, well, you know what? He's preaching in the choir. Well, this is a business group. He's preaching in the choir, right? Well, some of you know, I grew up down the way here in Delavan. My dad was a minister, and I remember years ago one of the fellow pastors was asked, Pastor, why do you preach to the choir? He said, simple. I preach to the choir because I want the choir to sing. I want the choir to sing. So tonight, what I'm asking you is if you agree with what I said, if you agree that we're heading in the right direction, that we've got the tools to go in the right direction, if we can take on anybody anywhere in the Midwest, in the U.S., or anywhere around the globe, if you believe that Wisconsin truly is open for business, I need your help. I need you to share that message. Because I need you to go back to your business tomorrow. I need you to go to the Chamber of Commerce. I need you to go to the Rotary. I need you to go to church on Sunday and start singing for me. Because in the end, I can put up all the billboards in the world. You know, I changed the sign on the way into Wisconsin. It no longer says, welcome to Wisconsin in the name of the governor. It just says, open for business at the bottom. Because they don't need to know who I am. They need to know that Wisconsin's open for business. But more important than any of those things, for businesses here within Racine County, for businesses you talk to around the state that you do work with, for businesses around the country, around the globe that you work with maybe in your industry or in your trade professions, I need you, people who are respected, who are looked up to, who can acknowledge the good work that we're doing, to sing that message. And when we do collectively, I have no doubt our numbers will continue to rise. We'll get Wisconsin working again, and we'll live in an even greater state than we've ever lived in before. And we'll show that Wisconsin is truly open for business. Thanks so much and enjoy the rest of the evening.